We've had our 5 highest years of attendance that we've had in the history of the school has been the last 5 years since we moved into this building with this system. And I attribute a lot of that to the system itself. It's cleaner air, it's healthier air, and it's a lot more comfortable. The students are comfortable when they're here, and the teachers have noticed that in their classrooms too. Used to be in the old buildings, you would go through and you would see under the old system a lot of windows open getting fresh air. This system brings in the fresh air at the appropriate levels. It makes it most comfortable for the students and the staff. Our test scores have improved. And I think I will attribute a lot of that to the system. When students are here, they're here more days out of the year, they miss less, they're here, they're getting more instruction. Our test scores have shown an improvement for it too. And I can go back and we can look at our buildings throughout the district, and the buildings that have this system in them are our highest performing school buildings. That's why we're putting them in every building now. For a lot of districts, especially rural districts like we are here in Kentucky, building a new school doesn't happen real often. So when we started looking at building a high school, one of 300,000 square feet, it's a pretty substantial investment for the community and for the school district. The system's benefited our school system primarily by energy savings. The amounts of money that we've been able to save in energy costs, even with the rising costs of energy throughout the years, we've been able to maintain, stay where we were even for years. When we put the system in here and moved in, even though the building's a third larger, 300,000 square feet, we're using 35% less energy in this building. Once we installed the system here and we saw the benefits, the savings that we've generated over the years of using it, we've now converted all but 2 of our buildings to the systems. The high school that we're in, we were at, I think we were at something around 52, 53 kBTUs per square foot. This building is operating at 36 in its 6th year, and it's maintained that the entire time. We've not seen highs and lows, and that has maintained that consistently now for 6 years. One of the other buildings that we have installed the same system in, it was at or above that 53 kBTUs per square foot, and it's now 35, and it's been there since we put it in that one. So we see a huge energy drop. The cost to operate the system is less than the others that we looked at. Something as simple as changing filters in 350 to 380 heat pumps, we've eliminated that. So that was another huge thing. That was another huge savings for us. One of the things that we do through another program too is we offer free meals for students, a breakfast and a lunch. Every student goes through has a free meal. Again, I attribute a lot of that to the savings that's been generated and some other programs that we're able to tap into. That's something that happens across our district at all buildings. Another thing that we've been able to do is, after about 3 years of implementing these systems, the savings that we've generated, we've applied that to, we no longer charge fees to our students. Our students don't pay a student fee, they don't pay for supply fee or anything like that. We're able to take that on now, and I think that's largely because of the savings that have been generated from energy savings. That's something that's not been happening around in this area. We're the first to be able to do that. When we came across the system, we were fortunate and got to go to the Simcoe labs. Going to the lab to see this system and how it worked and being able to put it to tests in the lab to see how it functioned was a huge benefit for us. Once we saw that, and I tell the story, we had a maintenance guy that was with me at the time, my director of maintenance, and we were in one of the test labs, and the temperature in the room was 70 degrees, but he was actually sweating. It was warm, or it felt warm in there. And once they fired the system up and started to get control of the humidity in that room, we actually saw the temperature in the room climb, but the humidity level dropped and it became more comfortable. And that's something we've learned here, that we figured here. We're able to run our rooms now at a higher temperature, 2 to 3, 4 degrees higher in temperature, but with controlling the humidity, we're able to run a higher temperature and it still is comfortable. When we were looking at considering all the different systems, but to be able to go there, and we actually got to go and see how it was manufactured, all the way from the manufacturing plants all the way through to we got to look at some buildings that were using the system. And the trip that we made to Furham University, where they had the two identical science buildings that was using conventional type systems, and some in another building used the chilled beams, laid out exactly the same, hours of usage the same. So you got a really apples to apples comparison there, and that was huge for us. That meant a lot to be able to see that and be able to talk to those folks and seeing how it was operating there. One of the things that we did in working with Semco was your folks did an energy modeling for us, and we were actually able to look at a building this size and looked at the energy usage of each of the different types of equipment. The Semco system that we've employed in this building with the chilled beam system, we're a geothermal building also. With that system and looking with the geothermal in all those systems, this one, it turned out, cost-wise, on the installation part of it, on the front end, we were less than the other systems. So there was already a savings before we even started in the purchase and the installation of the system. Probably the energy model, when we went in and modeled the energy usage, something that has turned out to be one of the most effective things that was done, because we're finding it was right on the money. So the energy savings have been tremendous. The air quality, the comfort of the building is something that's been very noticeable for the students and the staff. The humidity, being able to control the humidity in the building, that's the truest measure of comfort. Teachers love it. They love having that control, varying degrees of control in their classroom. Before, the old system was on, we were in heat mode or we were in cooling mode. Now we have the ability to control the temperature in each of the classrooms to the teachers, to the students' desire. It's minimal time. We go into a recirculation mode in the system at night. So we're not bringing in and we're not heating or cooling new air. We go into recirculation mode, which is another huge energy savings. And it's a time saving thing when it goes to come back up to temperature or down to the right temperature the next morning, because you're maintaining something similarly close or pretty close to that. One of the parts of the learning curve for the staff was getting a schedule. And if they can get us a schedule of when the building's going to be in use, we can control when the system goes into recirculation mode and when it's pulling in outside air and conditioning that air. We can control that. The coaches, those folks who are in and out of the buildings at night, we have a schedule, and they know now. They call our maintenance department through the computer. We can change it. If we're having a big event in the building at night, we can not go into the recirc mode until a little bit later. We just have a lot more control of the building and the temperatures and the conditions in the building than we've ever had with any of the other systems. Maintenance has been fairly minimal. Of course, you have with any piece of equipment, there are occasional malfunctions of the equipment, but we've always worked through with Semco. Has been great about helping us through those things. We've had those at minimum. But the great part is there's not been a lot. We're in our 6th year of using the equipment. In the classrooms, looking at the beams, just going in and cleaning those. There's such a low flow of air that it doesn't turn up the dust in the room, so it doesn't accumulate on the beams. So that's been very minimal. It's really a minimal upkeep system, especially in the classrooms. We looked at other options, the more traditional water source heat pumps. In this particular building, that was going to mean probably over 350 water source heat pumps, which becomes a huge space issue in the building. You had to design the building for those pumps, and the way the building was designed to put enough of the heat pumps inside the building that we would need for the building to function, space was a huge issue. This system, we have mechanical rooms now with just minimal pieces of equipment in there that we're able to use that space for other things. With the old system, with the water source heat pumps, just getting them in the room, and if you had to go in and even change the filter, was a huge problem. With this system, the filters are all at the air handler units. That's the only filters. So the ease of working on those is much easier than it would have been with the traditional systems that we've had in some of our other buildings. In the other buildings where we have the unit ventilators, the noise in the classroom for the students, the disruptions there. If there was a mechanical issue with the other pieces that we looked at, you had to go into the rooms to work on them. In this system, there's very minimal pieces of equipment inside the room. There's just the beams inside, which there's no real moving parts, so there's no need for maintenance or service workers to be in the classrooms to disrupt classrooms. So that's another huge benefit to the system for us.